In a previous video I showed how to copy individual files from Windows into your QXL.WIN container to run them in the QL. But this is quite laborious, and if you want to copy a larger set of files, not really practical. So in this video I'm going to show how you can go about editing the QXL.WIN container and adding the files that you want into that. So jumping onto Copilot, I'm asking how do you edit the QXL.WIN file for the Spectrum next. So it gives some general information, and it mentions that one way to do this is to use a QDOS compatible emulator, such as QPC2. I've heard this mentioned elsewhere, so this looked like quite a reasonable path to take. So asking Copilot a bit more about QPC2. So it's one of the most advanced and widely respected emulators for the Sinclair QL. And looking down a bit further, it says you can mount and edit QXL.WIN containers directly, which is what I want to do. So jumping onto Kilgus's website, it's on QPC2 version 5 for the full version, and there's a download link, and there's also a manual. So the manual's worth a look, give you some idea what you're doing, so I suggest reading that. And then you can download the zip, unzip it onto your PC, and then install it. So I'll install it into my D drive, just put it out of the way. And it includes an example hard disk. So going through the menus, installing it, and now it's installed. So starting up the program, first of all you see a configuration screen. So there's information to do with the display, the emulation, some other settings. So I'll set the memory to 32, and this this software comes with a demo WIN file, QPC2 So I'll have that set up as WIN1, and then I've got two WIN files. So QXL0 was the one that came with the QL release, and then QXL1 is just another QXL.WIN file that I found. So I'll be able to access these three different QXL files through WIN1, WIN2 and WIN3. And converting file extensions from dot to underscores will mean that any DOS file names will get changed from dots to underscores. So going into the program. So this program was written quite a bit before. It was written in the early days of Windows interfaces, so it works quite differently to your normal Windows interface. So your mouse keys are kind of different. So where I would normally expect to click on start and something would pop up, using the left mouse key, that doesn't happen. So you actually need to press the right mouse key, and then you get your menu options coming up. So there's a few applications included that you can play around with this software. You've got some programming tools, easy menu to tell you how to create a menu for starting up the QL. Then you've got some games, so you can have a play around with these. I had no idea what was happening with this game, so I'll go back out of that. D minor looked a bit more familiar. It looks like an old Windows game. I think it's called Minesweeper. where you can plant flags and then try and open up the cells. Try not to click on a bomb. Try to get it like that. So you can have a play around with that. This game, so QL.WIN, sounds like a QL version of an old game. So with this you move the little guy around using the cursor keys, and you push the blocks onto the spots. So it starts off nice and easy, and then gets a bit harder. Oh no, I think I've just boxed myself in there. So I've lost now. But that's quite a fun little game to have a play with. And then the wall. I don't really know what I'm doing with this game, but it looks quite cheerful. Something else to have a play around with. So there's a few things included with the example QXL.WIN file that's provided with the program. But what I'm interested in is looking at those QXL.WIN containers and trying to edit them. So the windows, it's not so obvious how you drag them around, whereas with Windows you would just pick up the tile bar and drag it. With these windows you click on the icon at the top left and then you click where you want it to go on the screen. So that's not exactly obvious. In the QL window you can type you click QL commands. So dir.win looks at the sample QXL container provided with this software. If I do dir.win2, that looks at the files that are on my QL SD card. So these are the files that came with the QL core installation. And then the third card, I can look at see what's on that as well. So that's mainly hidden away in subfolders. So you can run the QL commands on the command line to do things, to move files around, or you can use a drag and drop type interface which is called QShell. So that's included with the software. So I think this came originally from German. So there are some parts of it that are in German and some parts are in English, so it's a bit tricky to use, but there is quite a good manual, so that's worth a look, as well as the QPC manual. So I'd have a read through that and you might understand it a bit better then. And again, the Windows UI is a bit strange. So to resize the window, you click on the bottom right box and then you drop this sort of angle where you want it to go, and then to move the window you click on these two squares and then drop it. So not exactly intuitive, but that was because this program will have preceded your standard Windows interfaces, so that's why it's a bit different. So I can see that I've got Win1, Win2 and Win3, so I can open those up. I'll open up all three. So to do this I'm right clicking the mouse. Again, I would have expected to use the left click, but this is right clicking, and then you can drop those windows where you want them on the screen so you can actually use them. Again, it's the two squares to move, and then make the windows bigger using the bottom right control. So I'll expand all three of those. And I'm finding getting into the folders is not super easy either. So I would expect to double click on that, but that doesn't seem to work very often. So after a bit of a reset, I've got my three windows open again, and I'm now managing to get into the subfolders, so I can go into music and then into AY, and you can see that there are some music files in there. So supposing I didn't want a particular file, I highlight it and then drag it. You get the drag icon, and you drag it down to the two crosses down at the bottom to delete and let go. And then your warning is in German again, so abbreviation is cancel, so you want to do OK to copy it. And then that sets that entry to red to show that it's been deleted. If you reopen the window, you can see it's now gone. So this will be useful, say, on the QXL.WIN that came. You had some MDB files, so there was a chess game, a card game, a tennis game. So if you decided that, say, the card game, you sort of had a look at that and you're happy with it and you didn't need it anymore, you could delete that, freeing up some space in your QXL.WIN container. So the next thing you might want to do is copy some files from one container to another. So in this sample Win1 container, there's some games. So supposing I want to copy one of those games across into my QL container, select the game. So you do that by clicking on the left icon, and then you get the little drag icons coming up, and then drop that into your other container and let go. Then OK to do that, abbreviation is to cancel. Again, it's worth looking up what this German means if you're not sure. And then scrolling down the window to the bottom, you can see that the game, so QL.WIN, has now been added. So that's how to add games into your container. So I wouldn't suggest doing this on your main SD card. Get a spare. Don't risk breaking your main card installation. I've ordered a couple to do this kind of experimentation with. So I'm waiting for those before I actually write this stuff onto a card. It's been mentioned that the QXL.WIN method of running the QL on the next might be going away, so you might want to actually wait for that. I don't know how long that'll be, but that was mentioned. But if you do want to try to do this sort of thing, hopefully that's given you some idea of how to do it. Hope you found this interesting, and thanks for watching.